both won the toss against India and chose to bat, showing that dew is not much of a factor at this time of the year. So it'll be interesting to see what will the teams look to do when they win the toss. All right, joining me now is Jamie Orter. He joins us from Dubai. He's been tracking all the developments in Dubai. He's been following the team, standing outside the Dubai International Stadium in the heat. Neeru Bhatia, I'm so glad we have another woman on the show, another senior journalist. She's been covering cricket for so many years, and we keep bumping into each other, during events in Delhi. So it's nice to see you on screen, Neeru. Also joining me is Venkat Sundaram. He's a former cricketer and also former chairman of the Pitches Committee for the BCCI. Mr. Sundaram, thank you. You're the perfect person to tell us what India should look to do if they win the toss. But let me just first get the news from Dubai, Jamie. It's far from a dead rubber because there's so much happening, not only the fact that they'd want to top the group, both these teams, but the fact that, these two teams, it's almost like a dress rehearsal before the final. They could meet in the final at this very ground.
Absolutely. I have no time, exactly as you said, there's no time for dead rubbers. Just look at the nature of this tournament, a minimum of 3 matches and a maximum of 5 matches. Whichever team, Meha, in this Champions Trophy wins 5 matches is taking the trophy home. So I don't understand this nature of let's rest someone and all this stuff. Yes, I fully understand there's the one-day turnover between India's final group stage match and then the semi-final. But look at the unfair advantage that this team has had here by sitting in Dubai for so long. Other teams have had to get into airports and lounges and change cities and change countries. And India have not had to go through all that. So it is absolutely not a dead rubber. If we believe that India will face New Zealand again, then by all means play your best 11 here. Michael Bracewell, the New Zealand all-rounder, he said for us, we're putting our best 11 on the park. Glenn Phillips came to the press conference yesterday. He said we're putting our best 11 on the park because we know the advantage India has. They've been dealt their cards. We've been dealt our cards. Yes, I've been reminded multiple times that Glenn Phillips about New Zealand's overall head-to-head record over India in these events. But we are here to beat India and hopefully get to the final. So no talk, Meha, as far as I'm concerned about dead rubbers. I hope no one is rested because why do you need rest when you've been sitting in Dubai for 15 days and you've only played 2 matches? So I believe this is going to be India's first test with all due respect to Bangladesh and Pakistan. Those two matches did not truly test India. Their challenge, in fact, their Champions Trophy, as far as I'm concerned, Meha, starts about an hour and a half from now against the Black Caps.
Mr. Sundaram, but there is also this temptation really of resting some of the key players. I mean, someone like a Mohammad Shami, he's coming from an injury. He's been bowling well, but India would not want to risk playing him in all the games, just only because in case he gets injured, what happens in the final? And the semi-final, of course, is on Tuesday. But is there that temptation that, this is a dead rubber, we've got it covered, let's just rest him, let's give Arshdeep a chance, let's give Rishabh Pant a chance, because we never know when an injury can happen and then these guys will be put in the deep end.
Trophy, right?
Yes.
And champions think like champions. If you're going to be defensive and think, somebody might get injured, somebody might get hurt, that's negative thinking. And you mentioned Shami. Now, Shami is a fighter. The more he bowls, the better he bowls. He's a workhorse. And he has to bowl only 10 overs, right? So, I don't think there's any problem in playing Shami. In fact, we should play with our full team. If you suppose both these teams meet again in the final, there are some bragging rights before the final. And I think if India wins this match and goes with a positive mindset into the finals, then I think that will be a big statement and it'll do yeoman's for the confidence and the mental approach of the players going into the finals. So I don't think any match should be taken lightly. You're a top team, you're playing like champions, but this is, as your anchor in Dubai mentioned, this is the acid test because you played Pakistan and Bangladesh. Both the teams are playing below their best as we know it from the past, right? So they're in the rebuilding stage. And I think India is at the top of its form. But don't forget that the Indian fielding left sufficient room for doubt in the matches particularly against Bangladesh. Also, several catches were dropped of the Indian batsmen. Now, New Zealand is a top team. They've got all the wherewithal to pose a big challenge for India. They've got spinners, they've got a terrific batting lineup, seasoned players who can turn. They've got match winners right up to number 8 with the bat. Let me leave it at that. Right, A to Z. If you look at their batting lineup, they're firing on all cylinders. Their mindset is positive, and they will be very keen to make sure that they use the conditions available in Dubai to their advantage. If they bat first, they'll make sure that they keep wickets in hand and go for the charge, and that will test the Indian fielding. Let's also not forget that it will be it'll be very hot when the team batting first is there. So later in the evening it gets a little cooler. So these are things which will have to be factored into this important match. And I think the Indian team will also be looking for its players to stand up and take on the Kiwis at their game. So I think this will be an exciting match. I think it will be a match full of incidents. And I think it will be gripping. I'm really looking forward to watching this game. It will be absorbing. Two good teams fighting it out. This is what Champions Trophy should be all about.
Absolutely. I mean, these two are the top teams right now. You ask any of the experts, fans, they'll say, listen, India, New Zealand, these are the best team at the moment, Neeru. But this whole narrative around the Indian team getting that advantage because they've been sitting in Dubai, whereas others have to triumph from Dubai back to Pakistan, back and forth. I mean, even as we speak now, both the semi-finalists from Group B have to be present in Dubai in case India wins or loses. It's valid, some of the whining from the other teams, but how big an advantage do you think that will turn out to be for India in this Champions Trophy?
Well, I'll be very honest, Meha, here that I was speaking to Herschel Gibbs the other day, and I asked the same question of him, whether this is an advantage India situation, playing all its matches in Dubai, and he just rubbished it outright. And he said, it is what it is. The teams know about it from beforehand, so it's not news to them. And a lot of other teams have also played in Dubai in the past, so it's not like they don't know about these conditions at all. They're not new to it. So let's get on with it. It might sound like it is advantage India, but if it's a good team, like let's say today it is New Zealand, tomorrow it could be Australia. You never know. It's even Stevens. It's not fair. It's not easy to say that India will be outright favourites in that sense. Today's game is like even Mr. Venkatasundaram said, it's going to be a very exciting game. It's it's between two top teams, so you can't say who's going to be the outright favourite over here. Not easy at all. So this whole talk about Dubai and familiarity of conditions, I think beyond a point, it's just talk and nothing else.
Okay, but Jimmy, there is this. Do you get that sense when you talk to some of the players there? Because right now Group B toppers have to travel to Dubai. Australia are already there, and I think South Africa are reaching today because they played their game yesterday. Do you think there is this sense that India's been given unfair advantage? They've just been sitting there. They know the conditions. They played 2 games there.
100%. Look, it's like Glenn Phillips said, and what every player that I've seen here across teams has been asked this question, because it is the most obvious question. Is it an advantage? 100% it is, because India, unlike any other team, were allowed to choose their squad of 15 based on conditions across 5 matches. Unfair. I mean, look, we can go on until the cows come home. Like Neeru said when she spoke to Herschel Gibbs, you just have to move on. Everyone seems to have moved on. Majority of the Indian media here, Meha, and there's a huge contingent, they've all moved on. But yes, there are certain sectors of the foreign press who have problems. Maybe it's reflective of where their respective teams have ended up and crashed out. I don't want to go that far. To my mind, it's a massive advantage being here because, you're, like I said, you're not changing flights, you're not changing countries, and you can pick your squad of 15, knowing exactly where your minimum 3 matches and maximum 5 matches will be. But that said, New Zealand's got a very, very good record. I think their spinners are very underrated. And I've said before a ball was bowled in this tournament that why India and New Zealand are my favorites for the final is because they have the most varied spin attack. You look at Australia, it starts and ends with Zampa. South Africa, Shamsi is a bit hit or miss. Keshav Maharaj is a very good spinner. England only have Adil Rashid. There's no second, third spinner. So it should surprise no one that the two teams that all of us and many of the fans and media here have been talking up as the best to win this tournament are the ones, India and the Black Caps, who have the most variety in their spin attack. And we've seen, yes, Virat Kohli got a very good 100, but that was possibly one of the easiest hundreds of his 50-100 career he could get. It's not going to be easy against Santner, Bracewell, Glenn Phillips. We might even see for the first time in a long time, Rachin Ravindra roll his arm over. So it's a slow track, it's a low track. There's no vicious turn here, but with the big boundaries, with the slowness of the pitch, it's going to be very, very tough. And like we've discussed in the past in a couple shows, New Zealand's batsmen also are very, very skilled at playing spin. Underrated, in fact. So, like Mr. Sundaram said, this is going to be the first, I think, potential cracker we've seen in Dubai.
Okay, former India cricketer Robin Uthappa, he also believes that this will be an intense battle, irrespective of the fact that both these teams have already have been assured of a place in the semi-finals. Listen into what he had to say.
Well, I don't think it's a dead rubber. I think it's a pretty important game as far as momentum is concerned. It's a short tournament, and so given that it's a short tournament, I think you want to maintain momentum. And I think the Indian team, given that they've started well and created great momentum for themselves in this tournament, will want to maintain it because they're practically playing the next game on the bounce. So it will be serious business for them. They seem pretty much favourites to do that, to be honest. I think we've got the team, we've got the form, the bowlers are bowling well, the batters are batting exceptionally well. We've got the advantage of familiar conditions than other teams. So obviously everything India stands to gain whilst going to the back end of the tournament. So definitely a little bit of advantage there.
And KL Rahul came for the press conference on Friday. He was asked about this tricky Dubai pitch and he said the wicket is slow going in. Any new batter, he finds it very difficult to rotate the strike. The pace of the wicket is slightly different to the England series that we've played. So it takes a little bit of time to get used to it. But the good thing is that we played in Dubai before and we played on pitches like this. There you see what he'd said. He also said that we had a fair understanding that when we come here, this will be the challenge. I think on such wickets, whoever is the set batter, the longer he plays, the better it is for the team. And that gives you that extra 30, 40 runs. Because if the wickets keep going, the new batters will find it a bit difficult. Now, Rahul was also asked about this question, and I want my guests to come on this one. He was asked about whether there's pressure on him, given the fact that he's keeping a certain Rishabh Pant out. Does it play on his mind? This is what Rahul said. He said that it does. The pressure is there. He says there is pressure. I won't lie. I mean, he's obviously a very talented player, and he's shown all of us that he can do, what he can do, how big he can be, how aggressive he can be, and how quickly he can change the game. So yes, there's always the temptation for the team as well. Whoever is the captain, the coach, there's always that temptation to either play him or play me. There's always that. But yeah, for me, if I'm given the opportunity, I try and see what I can do best. I'm not trying to compete with Rishabh Pant, or I'm not trying to play like him. When he gets his opportunities, I'm sure he's not going to try to play like anybody else. He is picked on the basis of how he can play and what he can provide for the team, and the same applies to me. So I try and do what I do best and try to stick to my game. Now I'm going to come to KL Rahul and what he said, but I want to talk a little bit more about the conditions, and I want to get Mr. Sundaram in on that, sir. I do want to ask you, it's interesting that we've seen this pitch and how, batting has gotten slightly, well, in one of the games, it seemed like it got easier. I find pitches really difficult to read. Please do help us in this one. What will teams look to do? Because both times teams are one chasing. India is one chasing, but at the same time, would teams want to bat first? Because some are now saying that the pitches in Dubai do slow down. I'm confused. Help us.
No, I think too much is being read into these pitches. Actually, they played quite well. You see how Kohli batted in it, right? Okay, now you'll see he was chasing and he got 100 against Pakistan, right? But if you look at the pace and bounce, so the fast bowlers were getting fair amount of carry. The pitches, I must say, in Pakistan really, opened my eyes. They were having good nip and their carry and excellent batting conditions. I think at this stage of a tournament, the curator will be looking to make the best pitch available, because the whole world will be watching the game. And secondly, I think that it will be important to make sure that there's a settling in period. When you start preparing for a tournament, the first few matches might be a little, the pitch takes a little time to settle down. The more you play on it, the better it plays, and that's what we've seen. So I think we will have a good condition. There's too much is being read into these pitches and home team advantage. All that is nonsense. Here is a match which is going on. It's an international match between two top class teams, right? Don't forget these two teams played in I think if I remember right, in the Champions Test Championship as well. So they are top teams, and they won't be bothered about conditions and weather and things like that. Okay, it's 50 degrees, it's 50 degrees, so what? You leave that out of your mind, you go and play. They are playing at the peak of their performance, and I think not too much should be read into it. Now the factor that is going to be important for the Indian team is to consider is that the New Zealanders have a number of left-handers in the side, and if you notice that the Indians off spinner, after Ashwin has left, we've got Washington, Sundar and others in the squad. Now, who's going to be the main spinner to take the ball away from the left-handers? That's going to play an important role in this game. That is what I see. India also has, as you rightly mentioned, too much of a good thing in terms of wicket-keeper batsmen. And Rahul and Pant are both excellent players.
Yes.
And both are competent, both have proved their worth at international, both are match winners. So, it is not an easy choice, but it is a choice of plenty. And I think rather than having poverty in your hands, you've got plenty to choose from. It doesn't matter whom you choose. Both of them will be out to prove that they're match winners again. And I think it's important to keep that factor in mind, because, that middle order slot number 5, 6 are very important in a one-day game. They usually come in the middle overs. If there's a poor start, they have to consolidate. If there's good start, they have to, really keep the momentum going. So I think most people say that this one-day cricket, the middle overs are boring. I think it's the most interesting stage of the match. If you're a connoisseur of cricket, you will appreciate how the world-class players rotate the strike, push the score, quietly make their presence felt and accelerate toward the end. That makes it very, very exciting for a connoisseur of the game. And I think let's enjoy some good cricket rather than, let other things, distract us and take our mind away from the game.
Okay, but you still haven't answered. What will their captain look to do? Will they bat first or choose to field?
Well, I think at this level it doesn't matter, because this pitch will last 100 overs,
Okay.
If it lasts 100 overs, it doesn't matter really whether you bat first or field first. I think that they will like to bat first, more because it is going to be the peak heat condition, and that might result in cramps later on for the players who are fielding for a long time, and if they have to bat again and score big runs, then there's a possibility that some of them may suffer cramps and things like that. Other than that, I don't think there's any great advantage in first or fielding first at this.
Okay, now all eyes will also be on India's middle order. As Mr. Sundaram rightly said, that's the time who controls that better. And that's where, like Jamie was saying, the New Zealand spinners have been underestimated in that sense. Michael Bracewell, Mitchell Santner, and their spinners sit right at the top of the wicket takers charts. Neeru, how do you see that battle being played out between Virat Kohli, between Shreyas Iyer versus Mitchell Santner, Michael Bracewell?
Well, very interesting question. I think the Kiwi spinners really are a very high quality lot. And but if there's anybody who can take them on, it has to be Virat Kohli. It has to be Shreyas Iyer. Shreyas Iyer is known to be a very good player of spin. So I'm not worried on that count. In fact, I would be rather more excited to see Rishabh Pant come in, and if he comes in and how he tackles the spinners, he can, on his day, he can really be a match winner for us. So that should be interesting whether Rohit Sharma goes with KL Rahul or he brings in Rishabh Pant in for this game. And having said that, I think the Indian batsmen are quite capable of taking on the spinners.
Okay. Okay. Now, Jamie, you asked this question to KL Rahul in the press conference. This very exact question about, how he comes into the nets, and what you've been seeing in the nets is that he goes straight for sixes and big shots. And you asked him about his role coming in at number 6, and he said, look, more often than not, when I come, I'll have 10 overs to play. So I try to create these situations around me, whether I can, get big shots straight away. And that just gets me to the point to what Neeru was saying as well. I mean, isn't Rishabh Pant perfect for that, for the last 10 overs?
Yes, there's a school of thought which would suggest on the way Rishabh Pant bats in white ball cricket and to a certain extent in test cricket that he would be ideal. But to my mind, the reason that they've not been giving him chances is because they look at what KL Rahul, obviously the stats at number 5 are insane when you look at KL Rahul's average and 50 to 100 conversion and strike rate and all that good stuff. But when you put KL Rahul on one side and put Rishabh Pant, it's when the collapse happens. It's when the innings is 40 for 3, 60 for 4. I think the team has more faith in KL Rahul because across this fantastic body of work that he's put up, and I understand that Pant has not got anywhere near the opportunities, so maybe it's unfair. But when you want someone to rebuild an innings, walking in at number 5, I think the team management cannot look beyond KL Rahul, and it's fine. But the reason I asked that question to him 3 days ago was we watched KL Rahul across the nets, across formats, across countries for years now. This is one of the few times where he's come out and literally second ball, third ball, be it Varun Chakravarti, be it Jadeja, be it Shami, be it a net bowler Meha, he's been hitting sixes with more frequency. So when you watch him do that, then you wonder, hang on, he's been recalled to bat at number 5, but he's not batting at 5. Akshar Patel is being preferred to him. He came at number 6 against Bangladesh, and then against Pakistan was scored at number 7. So, however your views on KL Rahul, you cannot deny that he's also being given a very, very unfair hand, He's used to, being the anchor at number 5. But now, because of Akshar Patel or Pandya, whatever right-left combo this team believes in, unfortunately, as far as I'm concerned, KL Rahul is being pushed down to a place where he's now being forced to. Of course, he can hit sixes, but he's been trying, for the last 2-3 net sessions to do something which maybe doesn't come so natural to him.
Yeah.
That was the angle with which I posed the question. I don't see Rishabh Pant getting a game until someone like a Rohit is maybe rested, because when you have KL Rahul, it's working out very, very well for you, despite the fact that he's not getting ideal batting time in the middle.
I get that, but which is why I'm saying that the kind of role that they want KL Rahul to play, him going out and hitting sixes, Rishabh Pant's perfect for that. But okay, this we have to take because it's a big milestone today. Virat Kohli, he made his debut in ODIs in 2008. He's accomplished plenty of records in his 50-over format. Despite his heroics in Tests and T20Is, one can easily argue that ODIs, this is Virat's favorite format, and after years of breaking huge records, acing tough chases, the 36-year-old has mastered and completed this format, and everything from now on is just a bonus for him. He is going to be playing his 300th ODI. 299 ODIs that he's played. He scored 14,085 runs at an average of 58.20, strike rate of 93.41, 51 centuries, 73 50s. His best score is 193, the third highest run getter in this format after Kumar Sangakkara and Sachin Tendulkar. India's second highest run getter, also holds the record for most centuries in ODIs. He's, outdone Sachin Tendulkar in that department. He's made a habit of delivering scores consistently and motoring towards his career milestones. I mean, the fastest to 8,000 runs, 9,000 runs, 10,000 runs, 11,000, 12,000, 13,000 and 14,000 ODI runs. Mr. Sundaram, we're lucky to actually see him play this format and, for this long and, just to be able to see how well he's played this. But more than that, given that ODIs are struggling for relevance, I don't see anyone else reaching 300. Mr. Sundaram?
Fantastic achievement. And it's been a pleasure and a privilege to watch him play throughout his career. You know, he started as a young chap for Delhi, and I remember going to the court in those days at his call to watch him bat. And his father had passed away, and here was this guy, and he scored brilliant 100 in that game. And from that day to now, you watch his commitment, you watch his, he's changed the paradigm as far as fitness is concerned. See his fitness even in these conditions, see the way he runs between wickets, see his attitude, see his never say die spirit. He's had up and downs also, he's gone through bad patches, he's fought his way back. People have been, sharpening their knives for him for quite some time, saying he's going old and this and that. I don't find anything wrong in him at all. In fact, he's top of his game, top of his fitness, he's mentally strong, never say die attitude, which is very infectious. The whole team sort of, looks up to him and, works with him. In a way, he's an inspiration to the rest of the players. Yeah. What an amazing character he is. And, I think any captain would be happy to have a match winner like him in their ranks. And, more often than not, he delivers. That's, amazing. See a record of in all formats, see his average. And you'll hardly find that, in a whole series, he doesn't at least have one match-winning contribution. And that's the hallmark. Earlier, when we used to play a long time back, we used to say if you had 100 in a series, you've delivered, right? Yes. If you're a batsman. This guy used to score 3 centuries in a series. Yeah, and many of them were double centuries.
Yeah,
so his level was something different.
Absolutely, and I'm completely out of time, sir. The thing is, we can continue. We can continue to praise Virat Kohli, but I'm completely out of time. They've been screaming in my ear, wrap this up, but I just had to ask that question. Thank you so much, Neeru Bhatia, Jamie Alter, Mr. Sundaram, for taking the time out. It was so much fun. With that, it's a wrap. Hopefully, it's an India win. That's what we hope for every time. It should be a good contest with India winning in the end. Goodbye. Thanks for watching.
Businesses are primarily in India known by their owners.
When you start a business, you don't realize how much you're putting the entire family at risk.
The trust is a big element.
And a typical symbol of trust is usually a banyan tree. And I used to, in my early days, wonder that how will a young company look like a banyan tree?
When you brought in this beauty product, Nykaa, you tried to make women look beautiful for themselves.
It's a message to women. Let the spotlight of your life be on you. And for that, we wanted her to be as confident as she wants.
India desperately needs that shift in mindset where women would be leading from the front.
They're risk takers and they do take open-ended risk, and a belief in yourself that you don't allow others to destabilize you and you keep pursuing your path.
Watch Radical Presents Duologue with Paruntas Season 3 featuring Falguni Nair at these times on News 9. News 9, English news as it should be.
मैं और आप हम अलग कहाँ हैं?
Gill on 199.
अपनी अपनी मंजिल पर हम दोनों की नजर है और उसके लिए हम जी जान लगाकर मेहनत करते हैं। पर कभी कभी
He's out on 199.
मेहनत और मंजिल के बीच रह जाता है एक फासला। खैर मुझे उस फासले